When you think about shoes, a few brands pop into mind before any others. Adidas and Puma. These are two of the biggest name brands in the business. Adidas alone sold 448 million pairs of shoes globally in 2019. That's a lot of feet. But there's a story behind these two companies that isn't nearly as well known. Today we're going to get into the nitty-gritty truth of how these two shoe companies came to be. Oddly enough, neither Adidas nor Puma advertised the origins of their companies. It's never seen in commercials or promos or even magazine entries. That's because neither of these companies had a rosy start. Their beginning is not the sort of thing that you tell your kids before they go to bed. It's dark, bloody, and filled with twists you'll never see coming. Interested now? Good. Then let's get started. It began surprisingly enough in Weimar, Germany. That's where Adolf and Rudolf Dassler lived. Back in the 1920s, the two brothers worked together to form one company. My apologies if I mispronounced this. Gebrüder Dassler Schuhfabrik. By the way, any of our viewers out there speak German? If so, let us know in the comments below. Anyway, for those who don't, that translates into the Dassler Shoe Factory. Not the most creative name out there, but it summed up things pretty well. In fact, in 1924, the brothers were the only people in Germany who produced sports shoes. No other company made a similar product, which meant they were incredibly popular. Additionally, their shoes were so well made and in such a niche market that it wasn't long before they became the official sports shoes of the German teams who took part in the 1936 Summer Olympics held in Berlin, Germany. In addition to the shoes' craftsmanship and popularity, it was Adolf Dassler who would later innovate on the design of the shoes with screw-in spikes, which revolutionized the way that sports shoes were used during the Olympic Games. The Dassler brothers were good at what they did, and what they did was make sports shoes. So life should have been pretty straightforward and simple. So how is it that two people running a shoe factory could have stirred up so much drama? Well, the answer might surprise you. The rising popularity of the Dassler Shoe Company gained the attention of a particular group of people that history will not allow us to forget. At that time, the Hitler Youth needed a cohesive look, so they turned to the Dassler brothers. The factory was a key supplier to all of their clubs, which might be bad enough, but it didn't stop there. They were literally the official shoe of the Hitler Youth clubs. And here's the real kicker. Not only did they sell shoes to the Hitler Youth Club, but Adolf and Rudolf were actually members of the Nazi Party. Big wins at that, right? Well, keep listening because that isn't nearly the half of it. Now, according to Adolf, he never supported the regime or the views of the Nazi Party. Some theorize he simply joined because his brother was an adamant supporter of National Socialism, and because he didn't want to lose his share of the factory. The reason why doesn't matter all that much though, does it? Especially not when their history only became murkier from there. Rudolf was a strong supporter of the Nazi Party, and as the war progressed, his relationship with his brother began to deteriorate. With each passing day, battle, and raid, the chasm between the two brothers continued to grow, which was galvanized by their contrasting ideological views. Then, the war broke out in full. The Dassler brothers' shoe factory was forcefully taken over and converted to create military equipment. The Nazis sought to manufacture a large cache of Panzerschreck, which was a shoulder-launched anti-tank rocket, essentially the German version of a bazooka. These were obviously highly effective and lethal instruments of war. Staying true to his company's origins, Rudolf saw this as an opportunity to expand their shoe line and pitched the idea of patented army boots. But unfortunately, his idea was shot down and the factory continued to create equipment for the Nazi Party right up until the moment when the Allies managed to capture his town. And as we all know, the Nazis lost the war, and the world was left wounded, but there seemed to be every chance that it would recover. However, that chance was never extended to the Dassler brothers' shoe factory. But why? Well, the answer might surprise you. Rudolf Dassler was thought to be a member of a group that consisted of high-level Nazi members. At the end of the war, Rudolf was held at an internment camp in Hammelburg, Germany. He was kept there until 1946. No charges were brought up against him, and no concrete connections to his high-level Nazi group were ever found. Rudolf wasn't the only one taken into custody, though. Can you guess what his brother Adolf Dassler was charged with? Leave a comment below. We're curious to see your thoughts. Okay, since you've made your guess, here's the answer. Ready? Adolf Dassler was declared to be a Belastiter. Not familiar with the word? Basically, that's what Germany called those who managed to profiteer off the Nazi regime. At those trials, it was the second most serious charge that could be given, second only to being part of and engaging with the Nazi Party. Adolf was given a 10-year sentence both for working with the Hitler Youth and for the Nazi membership that turned his shoe factory into a weapons manufacturer. Just when Adolf thought his days were numbered, the mayor of Herzogenaurach testified, but in his defense? Yep, you heard that right. The mayor claimed that Adolf had hidden him, a half Jewish man, on his own property. Adolf had also given several warnings in advance of potential Gestapo arrests. Because of this, his sentence was lowered to that of a Minderbelasteter. He was given a 3-year sentence and lost all control over his half of the Dassler brothers' shoe factory. Sensing that he could take full control of the company, Rudolf doctored papers to try to make it seem as though it was Adolf's idea to transform the shoe company into a weapons factory. Adolf's wife came to his defense, proving the documents false, and Adolf's sentence was downgraded again to that of a Mitläufer. He was able to continue managing his half of the shoe company through the ever-watchful eye of the Denazification Board. Rudolf and Adolf were now butting heads. Adolf refused to forgive his brother for trying to convict him, and Rudolf desperately wanted the company all to his own. They could barely be called business partners, let alone brothers. They decided to go their separate ways, each of them opting to create their own shoe company. That's right, Adidas and Puma. Where did these weird names come from? Well, Adolf's nickname growing up was Adi, and the Das was taken from his last name Dassler. Adidas, this brand came first, and seeing what his brother had done, Rudolf decided to do the same thing. Originally, his company was named Ruda, Ru from Rudolf and Da from Dassler. Later on, he changed it to Puma Schuhfabrik Rudolf Dassler, Rudolf Dassler's Puma Shoe Factory. From there, it was eventually shortened to Puma. This division wasn't just between the brothers, though. Their hometown of Herzogenaurach gained a new nickname, the town of bent necks. This is because the town was divided between the two rival companies, and people siding with one brother would crane their necks, so to speak, as to identify whom they would associate with. Their rivalry is still alive and well today, albeit in a slightly different way. Both Puma and Adidas are conglomerates of the shoe industry. Their sales are constantly competing, and most people tend to prefer one brand over the other. Are you a bent neck shoe fan? Let us know in the comments below which shoe you prefer. Is Adidas your main foot covering? Puma? Or do you opt for another brand entirely? Either way, the truth behind this rivalry is one that's quite remarkable and not that well known. Well, that just about wraps it up for this one, but we hope that you've enjoyed this brief look into the history of two of the hottest sports shoe companies in the world. On your way out, don't forget to subscribe, like, and leave a comment. And if you enjoyed hearing about the dark past behind Adidas and Puma, consider checking out some of the other videos too. Until next time, take care.